friendlies, it's Carolyn and welcome back to my RV life. I am here at Walmart today where I got to spend a lovely night here. Actually, as far as Walmarts go, it really wasn't bad at all. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about a couple of experiences I've had here just in the last week. Walmart was the site of the first experience and then the second one was somewhere else. But I'm going to tell you about my experiences and share some reflections and some thoughts about those experiences. So stay tuned for some exciting stories about when the cops came knocking at my door and what it got me thinking about. And I also have a lesson for you, something that if you are a new RVer, if you're going to be an RVer, something that I have learned along the way that is really, really, really important for everybody to know. So stay tuned for that, and I'm going to talk about that too at the end. Alright, so I'm inside telling the story because I don't like standing out in the parking lot with a selfie stick doing videos. It just feels a little weird to me. So I pulled into a Walmart a couple, when was it? About a week ago. I pulled into a Walmart. I was in town running errands, trying to get some work done in between, and so I always pull into Walmart. It's just kind of an easy, the parking lots are always big, there's always plenty of space, and I can usually get a good cell signal. So I pulled into the Walmart in the town that I was at, and as I pulled in, I saw flashing lights of cop cars just sitting there, and there were two police officers outside talking to a woman. As I drove by, they were like totally gawking at me, and I'm like, what the hell? And of course I didn't have my seatbelt on, so I'm a little paranoid. Are they looking at me because I'm not wearing my seatbelt? So I was like, okay, interesting. I went and parked, sat down, pulled out my computer, and I got to work. Not even 5 minutes later, I hear, and my windows are open. I was sitting in the bench opposite me, and my windows are open, and I hear, hello, and I peek my head out, and there's one of the police officers has his head in my driver's side window, and he's like, you're not Romanian. I'm like, no. I'm like, and he's like, oh, well, we were looking for Romanians. And I was like, okay. And he's like, yeah, they're in an RV. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not Romanian. But it was interesting because as soon as he saw my face, he was like, oh, you're not Romanian. I don't know what that means. And I was like, well, yeah, I was wondering why you guys were gawking at me as I drove by. And he's like, yeah, they just happen to have California plates. Sorry to bother you. Have a good day. And I'm like, Romanians? I'm in the middle of West Virginia. How many Romanians? I mean, how did you know they were Romanians? And he said, I didn't say all this, of course, I'm thinking this, but he also said, yeah, the lady told us as soon as we saw your RV that you weren't who we were looking for, but, you know, I had to come and check anyway. I'm like, all right, whatever, you know, just one of those things. I didn't think about it. So not even a week later, yesterday, I am in another town in West Virginia and also running errands, waiting for mail, stuff like that. I decided my mail didn't get there. I had to wait another day. So I decided to stay at the Walmart that I'm at because anyway, it was just the easiest thing to do. But I didn't want to hang out at Walmart all day. So I went and found this nice secluded place that I had kind of seen on my way in. And after kind of scouting around, I found the spot, and it was right on the edge of both a trail, a mill trail, and also the entrance to a police shooting range. And I was like, okay, this is interesting, but it was a dead end pretty much. And I was like, okay, this will be a nice quiet place. I'll be able to put out my solar panel. Not even 10 minutes I was there and a cop pulled up. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I came out and greeted him, and he's like, hi, ma'am. We got a report of a suspicious vehicle. And I'm like, oh, that must be me. He's like, yes, ma'am. I'm like, okay. And I told him my story. I'm just passing through. I'm waiting for my mail. And he just like didn't care. He's like, okay, well, all right. Doesn't matter. Where were you last night? Or where are you coming from? And I'm like, I don't know. I was at some state park last night. And he looked at me very suspiciously because I couldn't name the state park. And I'm like, you know, the one with the waterfall, and it's got a weird name, and it's two names. And he's just like, I'm like, you know, the state park. And he's like, oh yeah, I can't remember the name of it now. Something Bear. I mean, I don't know the name of it. But I don't know. He seemed a little suspicious, and I thought it was interesting. He didn't need to look inside. But so I just, you know, I think it's really interesting. As much as I travel, twice in West Virginia in the last week, I have had knocks on my door by police officers. And it really got me thinking about some of the emails that I get at least once a month, maybe more, from people of color and people from the LGTB, oh my gosh, lesbian, gay, transgender, bi, LGBT, right? I don't know why I got the acronym all wrong all of a sudden and the Q at the end. But I get people from those communities who write to me quite often and ask me, I really want to do what you're doing, but I'm a little nervous. Is it safe? And of course, I can't answer that question. I'm a white woman. I have no idea what it's like to travel in a lot of the places that I've traveled as a black woman or a black man or a gay or a trans person. I have no idea what that experience would be. So I can't answer that question. I only know from the experience of being white, and yeah, I'm going to say it. That's my white privilege. When those police officers looked in my window and saw a white face, you could see they totally change. I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but that's okay. That is my experience. And as someone who has had tons of especially male friends, black, and I have heard story after story after story, their stories. These are college educated, successful, respectful men of the community who have been pulled over just because of the color of their skin, sometimes yanked. One of my friends, a banker, college educated banker, yanked out of his car on the ground with a gun to his head because a black man in another part of town had committed a crime. So my experiences get me thinking about, okay, that worked out really well for me, but what if I wasn't me? What if I wasn't fair-skinned and blue-eyed? What would my experience have been like? And of course, I can't answer that question, and I can't know. I would like to think that the world is a accepting place, and the world doesn't see color, but that's not the reality. I also know that earlier in my life, I had a huge issue with authority. Huge. I hated authority. And I had more than my fair share of run-ins with police officers. My brother used to tell this story when we were teenagers. We had this place in Binghamton, New York. We would all go party called Mill Hill. Any Binghamtonians know of Mill Hill? And I was out there with him and his friends. He was the popular one. I was the loner, geeky one. Kind of geeky for a while until I started partying. But I was out there and the cops came. We were all underage drinking, but they were basically just coming to tell us to go. Oh, but me, with my internal anger, I started screaming at the cops, "No, you can't do this!" And everybody was just like, "Carolyn, shut the F up! What are you doing? Just shut the f up!" They were so mad at me. And the cops came over and threatened to arrest me, and I challenged them, here, arrest me, with my big fat mouth. And there have been a couple of occasions in my earlier years when I have done that. I had never gotten arrested. Even though I pushed them, I called them names, I yelled and I screamed and I said, "Here, arrest me." And I've done that a few times. I have never been arrested. So that begs the question with my recent experiences of having cops knocking at my door. What if I wasn't me? What if I wasn't fair-skinned female with blue eyes? And unfortunately, that is a question that in 2017 we still have to ask. And to all of you who write to me, who, as one Indigo just wrote to me, and as she put it, those in marginalized demographics in our society, what would their experience be? And unfortunately, I don't see a lot of people on YouTube, Facebook doing this. One that I know of, RV Jedi, he's a man of color, and he does YouTube, he's on Twitter, he's on Facebook. He's pretty much the only person that is in my radar, RV Jedi, Jedeye, and he's on YouTube. Like I said, he's on social media. So if you're a person of color and you're looking for someone to communicate with, to learn from his experience, he is pretty much the only one I know who's doing social media. I have run into persons of color. I've also run into people from the LGBTQ community. I don't want to out anybody because I don't know how open they are, so I don't want to out those people. But what I would like for you to do in the comments, if you are a person in those communities communities who are a full-time RVer, if you care to, comment in the comments of these videos, because there are a lot of people who need your experience and expertise and need you to kind of guide them through what it's like to be out here as a member of your community. So I hope that I do hope that we can have an open and honest conversation. I'm going to say right now, zero tolerance for anything that is judgmental, anything that is mean or meant to bully or harass or call names. I am going to have zero tolerance for any of that in these comments. I would like it to be a safe place, as safe as it can be, for people in the marginalized communities to be able to openly and honestly have discussions about what it's like to be a marginalized or a minority in our community and some of the experiences that you have had. Like I said, I've had throughout my life a bunch of friends of color, and every single one of them has a story. And I have stories of tempting cops to arrest me, and I've never been arrested. So yeah, so that's something that just to think about. That's just something to think about. I wonder, through many of the experiences that I've had in my travels, if my experience would be different if my skin were a few shades darker. Some of the hospitality and some of the leniency that I have experienced from law enforcement and rangers and things like that. Okay, so that brings me to the lesson. A big, huge lesson for anybody, I don't care who you are, but probably especially people in those marginalized communities. If you are going to be an RVer, or you are a new full-time, this is full-time RVer or full-time van dweller. I was in Georgia camping on National Forest land. My friend Bob and I happened to be traveling together at the time. And we were in a portion of the National Forest where apparently we weren't allowed to camp. It wasn't posted or anything, and the ranger came by and said, you have to move. He was really, really nice about it. Actually, he wasn't really nice about it. He was actually very businesslike and very curt about it, but he wasn't nasty or mean or accusatory or anything like that. Bob, being my friend Bob Wells, for those of you who don't know, being the friendly guy that he is, said, oh, we've really enjoyed staying in Georgia. It's been really nice here. And the ranger kind of was on his way back to his vehicle by then, but something about what Bob said made him stop and turn around and say, do you guys have a home base? And it was accusatory. I could sense, my instincts, flared that he wasn't asking just to be friendly. He wanted to know if we were homeless bums squatting on their land. And Bob is much more experienced at this, having done it for more than 10 years than I am. But my instinctually, I knew, yeah, of course, yes, I have a home base in California, and him too. Yeah, I've got a home base in Nevada. That's where I'm from, and blah, blah, blah. So that is my lesson for anyone who is going to be full-time. You see it in the comments all the time. A lot of people are not going to understand what we're doing. A lot of people, no matter how much proof or how many times we say that this is a choice, that we're not down and out, we're not homeless bums, that we pay taxes just like everybody else, that a lot of us are self-employed and probably pay more taxes than a lot of people, that no matter how many times you say that, some people are just going to see what they want to see. And they're going to think that you're a homeless bum leeching off the system. And I suspect that ranger in Georgia, if we had said, no, we do this full time, we could have maybe, depending on the jurisdiction, depending on where you are, you maybe get ticketed. At the very least, could have been told to leave and not come back. They would have viewed us as homeless. They would have viewed us as squatters. Technically, you're not allowed to live in public lands. But there's a lot of gray area in what that means, what residence in public lands means, etc. And I learned that as long as you're moving in every 2 weeks, you're not breaking any laws. But that's a pretty big gray area. And if somebody wanted to be a real prick about it, they might be able to cite you, and I think there have been cases where people have been cited. So just that's the lesson for future nomads or new nomads, and you may not be aware of that. The answer to do you have a home base is always yes. Have your address ready. Know your address so that you're not fumbling. You know, if you've changed your docile or whatever, make sure you know your address and always say yes. Another thing that I have been trying to be more disciplined with myself is not telling people I meet that I'm full-time. There have been a few cases where I see their demeanor change as soon as I tell them. They have ideas. No matter, they could meet me and they could talk to me and they could experience me, but the minute I say I'm full-time, I see a change. Because automatically there are preconceived ideas about what that means. Preconceived ideas about being a homeless bum, not contributing to society. I could talk about all the volunteer work I do, all the money I give to charity, all the taxes I pay, all the hours that I work, etc., and it doesn't matter. I am still viewed as a homeless bum. So that's my lesson for you. Just make sure especially when you're talking to law enforcement or LEO, yes, I have a home base. And if you have a physical address, a physical street address, not a P.O. box, you need to be prepared. Do not give a P.O. box. You need to be prepared to give a street address. At least with my UPS store, I mean, unless they went and looked it up, they probably, it doesn't sound like a P.O. box. And I have a backup address just in case I need to give it. Oh, yeah, that's my mailing address. Yes, I live at, blah, 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 blah. Keep that in your back pocket and remember that, okay? Because you could get harassed, especially if you don't look like this, okay? Just, it's going to piss a lot of people off, but that's the truth. I don't believe in sugarcoating the truth. I don't believe in denying the truth. I don't think that any of us can change until we accept the shortcomings within ourselves and within our society. It's not white shaming. It's not trying to make people feel guilty. And I've heard people say that. What's up with all this white guilt? I'm sick of the white guilt. It's not about guilting. It's not about shaming anyone. It's about nothing has ever changed by being quiet. Women wouldn't be allowed to vote today if a few strong, courageous men and women didn't fight. Blacks would still be enslaved if a few didn't stand up and have the courage to talk about how wrong it is. So no one takes this as me trying to shame or guilt anyone. I just think that we need to bring these things out in the open in as much as in a non-judgmental and open and honest way, so that we can evolve, so that we can change, so that we can accept each other in more loving and kind and empathetic ways. I am not going to sit here and say that I know what it's like to be a black person or a gay person or a trans person or a Mexican or a Muslim in our society, because I don't. So I don't want to sit here, and I'm not going to take away their experience. I'm not going to say, oh, you're imagining things and why do you have to play the race card? I am fortunate enough that I've had people from all shapes, all different types, gay, lesbian, trans friends, people of all colors have been my friends. So I've been able to, like I say in a lot of my videos, I've been able to sit down, look them in the eye, and hear their stories and see the pain in their faces from their experiences. And especially the black men. Every black man I know, when they were younger especially, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, a gun to his head, flat out on the ground. And I know this man. He's a wonderful, kind man who gives back to the community like crazy, and it just breaks my heart. Denying those experiences isn't going to change them. So I hope that we can have respectful conversation. I hope that those of you who are of marginalized, those of you who are members of more marginalized communities, I hope that you can leave your information in the comments. If you have a YouTube channel or a Facebook or a blog, leave all of that in the comments so that others who are of your community can find you and learn from you, and just, create a community together, because I believe that that's what it's going to take for all of us to evolve and change and grow is community. And that's what I like to bring, raise our consciousness a little bit about a lot of these issues and open it up with empathy and respect and talk about it. Okay? All right, that was my experience of 2 policemen knocking on my door in a week in West Virginia. And luckily for me, it was all harmless and turned out fine. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I told you, yeah, Matilda being a suspicious vehicle. And you have to ask, what was so suspicious about it? Yeah, she looks like a meth lab. But I think probably also that I was parked outside a police firing range in an RV with California plates. I would imagine that might have raised, actually they were park rangers going down there for shooting practice. And I can imagine, with everything that's going on in the world, and police also getting randomly shot for no reason and attacked. I mean, we've got a lot of issues in this country with that as well. So I don't want any police officers out there to think that I'm disrespecting you. I understand the challenges that you face in your job every single day. And I would love if we all could just walk in each other's shoes for one day and think about what life is like on the other side. Thanks for listening. I hope you all got something from my little heart-to-heart talk today. I haven't done one of these in a little while. Peace. Love one another. I hope we can have empathy and understanding. Okay? I'll see you next time. In the meantime, be happy, be free, and please be kind. See you soon. You got it. Oh, I have to have the obligatory Capone shot, right? Where are you, bud? Say hi. Say hi, puppy. All right, we're gonna hit the road. Bye, Walmart.